Jai Hind everyone. I am Achintya Assistant Professor in Department of Information Technology at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. Today I will speak about different type of function which is used in C++. In my earlier video, I have discussed object-oriented language, which is of two types. One is object-based language and other is object-oriented programming language, right? So object-based in object-based language, we have a little bit discussed about ADA programming, and in object-oriented programming, there is the language which we used like C++, Java. These all are the object-oriented programming language, right? So today I will discuss about the different type of function which is used in C++. Okay. So what is function? So function is a self-contained block of a statement that perform coherent task of some kind. In fact, if you talk about C, in C, everything is written in the function, right? Like, in fact, C program is a collection of function. Like main is a program, main is a function from where execution is start, and all code are written in either predefined or system defined, predefined or user defined functions. Okay. So why we required the function? Because suppose if you want to execute some code, okay, and you want to execute at many places, right? So one way is to write that code at all different places where you want to execute or you want to run that particular code. Second way, you can put that portion of code in a function, and whenever that much code you want to execute, you simply call that function where we need to execute that code. Okay. So rewriting of code, we save the rewriting of code, right? So that is the basic advantage of this function. We need not rewrite the code. We will simply call the function. We will write only once. The code will be written only once, and the same code will be executed the moment you get called. So calling is, by calling that, you can execute that, right? So ultimately we can reduce the space complexity, right? So functions are used to provide modularity to a program. Creating an application using function makes it easier to understand, edit, and check errors all, because we can modularize everything. Like if we say a problem could be divided into sub problem and sub problem, and every sub problem could be written into the functions. Okay, so this is a way. Okay, so depending on whether a function is predefined or user defined. Okay, function could be of two category. One is library function and second one is user defined function. Library function means it is predefined, like printf, scanf, or cout C in C++, or kind of that function. User defined function means user are going to create. So what is the way to create? So before creating function, there are three things are associated with the function. First, we have to declare the function, right? So what is the way to declare the function? The way to declare the function is first, which is called prototype declaration, in which we mention the return type of the function, name of the function, and how many argument, either 0 or no argument, or 1, 2, and 3. So this is called function declaration. You simply, the compiler know that these all our function are going to be used in the program. Okay. Next, we write the code, means exact the code we write into the function, and that portion is called function definitions. And we simply, if we want to execute that code, we would have to call that function only. So in C, we simply by writing the name of the function followed by semicolon, the function gets executed, right? In C++, since everything is written in terms of, or you can say in object-oriented programming specifically, we write everything in terms of class, and class consists of data and function. So we can call the function by creating the object of that class, right? So by creating the object of class, how we call the function? If the function are in public or protected mode, we simply call the function by creating the object followed by dot and the name of the function. So the definition gets executed. So let's explore a little bit about the function. So user defined function is nothing, just return type like int, float, char, function name, and the parameter if there is. So this is called syntax of the function. What? Okay. Function prototype already discussed. We have to, like, if we are going to use the variable, first we declare the variable. Simply, if we are going to use some function, we would have to declare initially. That is called prototype declaration. And declaration include the return type of the function, the name of the function, and the argument of the function, what the type, how many arguments, and all, right? like here, just see in the function int sum. So this is called prototype identifying function, and this is called prototype declaration. We have mentioned the return type integer, the name of the function sum, and there are two arguments x and y of type integer. Okay, so this is all about. It is just like you are simply telling the compiler that these all are the function which is going to use in the function. This is written in C specifically. So simply this is called function calling. Once you call, how you call? You mention the name of the function and the actual argument, right? Like A is 10, B is 20. Since the return type is integer, so we have stored in the variable C. So the sum will be stored in here, and we can print the C. Okay. And this is the definition of the function. We simply line return type name of function, and this is called in the definition the parameter which is x and y. This is called formal argument, right? This is the actual argument which we actually pass, and this actual argument will be copied into this corresponding formal argument. So we simply return x plus y means sum, and this will be stored in C. So this is the simple structure of a function. Okay, the code will be executed only when it is called, and we call the function simply by the name of the function followed by this open and close bracket and the arguments. Okay, declaring, defining, and calling function. Okay, declaring means prototype declaration, the nature of the function. Defining means the code, and calling means name of function followed by semicolon, so that the definition gets executed. Once when you call the function, the code, or you can say the definition of the function, gets invoked, right? Okay. So even the calling of a function is of two types. One is called call by value, and second one is called call by reference. Suppose in the argument, like here in even sum, this is the argument. Sometimes it is called argument, sometimes it is called parameter. So argument and parameter both are same. Okay. So when we call the function by passing the value, like here we have passed a and b, means we are passing the value of a and b. So this is called call by value. Okay. When we pass this, like if we pass the address of a and b, then this will be called calling by reference, call by reference. So function call is of two types. One is call by value, second one is called call by reference. If we pass the value, simply we can pass some 10, 20 even, or simply we can pass the variable, okay, which is having the same value. So this is called the call by value. If we pass, for example, if we pass the address, we can pass even the address of A, address of B. So this will become under the call by reference. When we pass the address, we would have to explicitly write the pointer here. Okay, so we must include the pointer. If we pass the function, or we can say if we call the function as by passing the address of the variable, this comes under call by reference. And when we pass the address in the formal argument, we require the pointer. So in this formal declaration, formal definition, we would have to mention x and y or any variable as a pointer. So we would have to return star x plus star y. You would have to do if you want to sum. Okay. So function call is of two types. One is call by value, and second one is called by reference. Meaning that if we pass the value of a variable, then this comes under the call by value. If we pass the address of a variable, references, then this is called call by reference. For example, here, suppose this calculate. So we have passed the x, right? And it means the value of x, that is 10, and we have simply modified the x equal to x plus 10, means 10 plus 10 equal to 20. So here x become 20. If you are going to print this x, it will print 20. So we have returned, x becomes 20. So here it will print 20. Okay. Call by value. Then call by reference, we can pass, like I said, the address of this variable, like x. So address means, suppose if it is x equal to 10, okay, say 10. Okay, so if we pass the address, for example, address is 1000. Okay, so if we pass the address, so this address 1000 is going to stay in the pointer. So in the formal argument or parameter, this is called formal parameter, this is called actual parameter. So in the formal argument, since actual argument are address, the formal argument must be pointer. So this p becomes pointer, and this p will store the address of x, that is 1000. P will have the address 2 byte or 4 byte earlier, like it will be 998. Okay. So what we require, we have to modify the x by 10. So using pointer, how you can access? Asterisk p means value at 1000, that is 10. The value at 10 will be value at x, that is 10 plus 10 becomes 20. So this will be override here, x become 20. So the output will be, once the definition gets executed, it will return from the place where it been called. So here we'll print the x, and that would be 20. These all are some types of the function. Function could have no argument, function could have argument. Okay, the function with no argument and no return value, function with no argument and a return value, function with argument and no return argument and a return value. Okay, so these all are some kind of functions. A function could have no return value, like if we write in the prototype like void and function name, then means function is not returning any value. Okay, but if you write int float char, means the function is going to return as an integer or float as a character. Again, here a function has been used in which there will be no argument, like you can see the definition. Void prime means this function is having no return type, and this function has having no argument. So this will be come under the category, and this function is just checking whether a number is prime or not. So we are finally actually making a function which just going to check whether any number entered is prime or not. So simply we'll write the code not in main but in the function prime. So prime function will be called, the definition gets executed. Here we will enter any number num, and we are going to, what is prime number? Prime number is a number which is divisible by itself or by 1. So from 2 to any number less than number minus 1, ultimately it will be number by 2. Even number minus 1 means even a number size, suppose if it is 50, so we need not to go by 49, even it is up to the half, then it will also ensure the function will not be prime. So we just set if it is divisible. So we will come out from the loop, means we will check here, then it will show a message it is not a prime. If it is not so, then we will come and this will not be the condition which will satisfy. So this is going to be prime. Okay. So I'm not focusing on how to check. This is very simple thing. How to check a number whether it is prime or not. I am just showing a function prime which is just taking no return type and no argument, like this one. Next is inline function, like we use in C++ in object oriented programming. If a function is very small, if the definition is so called single line, two line, so we could make that function inline, means the definition could be associated with the calling itself. So inline function can be made by writing the word inline as a qualifier. So we can make any function inline if it has a not bigger code. Then say if it has a single lines code or two line code, then we can make that function inline. It will more like behave just like as a macro, right? So the time complexity we can reduce and all, right? So inline function. C++ inline function is powerful concept that is commonly used with class. If a function is inline, the compiler places, just like macro, a copy of the code of that function at each point where the function is called at compile time, right? Like here, I have stream inline int max. So we have written just qualifier inline. Either we can make a function inline by writing qualifier, or if the definition is like in class, if we write the definition even in the class, right, where we simply use or associate some function, even the definition is written in the class. So that function is called inline too. Okay. So we make the max function as an inline, and simply we can write this max. We are going to basically find the maximum between two numbers. So we simply pass 20 and 10, and the definition of max is already here, right? Return x if it is greater than y, or y if it is not so. So the definition you can say here we have declared, along with we have even defined that. Okay. So that is called, this function is inline. Rest thing is quite similar. Now friend function. Before friend function, let me show one. Let me say one thing. There is a class. Class, I already mentioned, class contain only two things. One is data, second is function, right? So the function inside a class, they can access only the data which is inside the class, right? And that is the feature which support data hiding, or you can say sometimes we also say data and encapsulated. So only the member function is allowed to access the data, means member data. Okay. Suppose a function which is written in a class A want to access the data of class B, they cannot. Means only the member function is allowed to access the data of that particular class, not outside of that class. But sometimes if we want a function should be familiar with two or more than two class, means a function which is inside some class also allowed to access the data and code of some another class, then this could also make by making such function as a friend function, right? So if a function which we have made as a friend function and it is written in the class, actually that is not member of that class. It will simply be as a simple function, right? So friend function is for that. Any function which is inside a class, that is called member function. Member function is allowed to access the data of only that particular class. Member function cannot access the data outside of that class, means they cannot access the data of another class. But if there is a friend function, say if a friend function of two class, then that function could be access the data of both class. So we can make the function as a friend function to get familiar with more than one class, right? So we can make in that in C++, okay? Like here, you see, this is the class box, and suppose a function which is print function, we have made this print with function as a friend function by using the qualifier friend. So although it is written in the class box, but since it is friend, so this print with function is no more member of this function. This is simple function, and that's why it doesn't have any return type, and it doesn't write the code. It's as a normal member function where we specify the return type of the function, class name, scope, resolution, and then function name. So we need not to declare or define like that, which we use in the member function. Okay. So to declare a function as a friend function of a class, we proceed the function prototype in the class with the keyword friend as follows, like here. Okay. So again, suppose we are having a class A and class B. Suppose we are going to make add function friend to both class A and B. So how we can make? Since we are initially going to declare the class A, so we want this add function to become friend with another function, say B. So the class B must be already declared. So here we have declared class B without definition. Such declaration where we need not write all the code or need not write the data and function, but only the name of the function. This is called forward declaration. Why we are doing so? Because this particular class is going to need that class also, because we are making a function, say add here as a friend to both A and B class, right? So after that, so this add function become the friend with the class A and B. So this is the simple definition of class A. I mean, we have simply written some A as a num A as a data, and this is A as a this as a friend function. Okay. So actually we are using two friend function. One is add. Yes, we have simply add. All right. Similarly, class B having this data, and this is the function. Add is a friend function. So we have written, or we have mentioned add in both A and B, and this is the definition of add function. Okay. So if there is a friend function, so in friend function we see that we simply pass the object of the class inside the friend function, not simple member. So like we can see here where is a suppose if it is add, we have pass object A, object B. So friend function in general takes argument as a object, right? And we would have created in main all these, like the object A is of class A and object B is of class B. Okay. So the use of friend function is like that. We can make a function friend to two or more than two classes. Next is recursive function. This is also a kind of function. Recursive means if you define something in terms of itself, this is called recursion. So a function, if a function call itself, this is called recursive function. like here recurse, call, recurse, then this comes under the category recursive function. Simple. And this is say factorial. We have written a simple program of factorial here as a recursive function. So you can see in the definition, factorial function, we are going to write the definition of factorial, and here factorial call factorial. So this function is called recursive function. So this is all about a quick view of functions. We have followed some these all from Balaguru Swami books and all. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you.